Oops.
Okay. Hey, and welcome to the very first episode of our very new podcast called Zero Notifications. I'm Natalie Casanova, also known as ZombiUnicorn online. No Ian Zombie because I'm an idiot. And I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Ian, also known as IanMMori on the internet. That's how it's spelled. All right.
Ian, what do you do so people can know more about you if they've never met you before online?
I am an aspiring fiction writer. Really, it's just, I think it's more of a pipe dream, but we'll figure it out. I've got 3 books in that pipe dream.
In that
I'm a craft cocktail bartender, and I sometimes, on occasions, will stream on this platform, Twitch. It's fun. That's
yeah.
And what about you, Natalie?
I'm a full-time content creator, voice actress, and host. And for the past 7 years, and I mainly make gaming content, but I also do makeup, beauty, music, and lifestyle. And I've always wanted to do a podcast. I have a background in journalism, so I always thought it was fun to like talk about news stuff and whatever. And I've been on a bunch of podcasts, but we've never had our own. And it's been a long time coming. We decided to finally do one because the views that we have on certain topics really resonate with a lot of people. So
yeah, and we're also really, really hungry for information as much as we could find, researching, and as curious as we can be as well too.
Yeah, and I think we're both like constantly searching for knowledge and meaning in an otherwise boring dystopia. So it'll be it'll be a fun journey together starting this off. And
episode 1, I feel it. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. I have high hopes.
So why is it called Zero Notifications? You tell them, Ian.
We decided on the name of Zero Notifications because we're constantly looking for engagement, and we all have that feeling of looking at our phones, seeing that we have absolutely no notifications whatsoever, and we want to be able to engage in something, engage in new information, new social situations, new connections. And so here we are at Zero Notifications.
We're not talking about that relief, like, oh, thank God I don't have any notifications. It's more like that time when you don't have any and you're like, oh, I wish I had some because I want to do. I'm bored.
Yes.
I want to know. I want to know more.
The absolute opposite. Like, it's just, I want to be able to see something that engages me, and I want to be able to engage with it as well. So yeah, that's generally what we're looking for. And so that's why we called it Zero Notifications. So yeah, it's something where we've wanted to start a podcast. I've been listening to so many podcasts, and together I think we both have a really, really dynamic
way of conversing.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's entertaining. We goof off quite a lot.
Yeah. But
we often talk about heavier things, but with a lighthearted and respectful manner as well. So we tend to do that. So.
And one of the reasons we decided to do the podcast was we seek to end ignorance within ourselves and in others by spreading information that's interesting and relevant to the community in our little corner of the internet. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We have some different segments of the show. Yeah, we have a lot of segments. We might not do every single segment, every single podcast, but just to start off, maybe for the first few episodes, we're gonna show you all of what we got to offer here, and it'll change, and we'll have guests on in the future and stuff. So, first segment is news, and then we talk about this little thing called News Royale that we've came up with. Then we have a segment called Follower Mode, where we shout out our favorite people and projects and artists and designers and things and content creators or upcoming things. And then we have a segment called Dating Diaries, which is a throwback to my old YouTube series, Dating Diaries, where I'd read really nasty messages. This is actually a great part where people can get interactive and send us like really weird anecdotes or messages they've gotten on dating apps that are real weird, and we'll read them and talk about them. That's always a fun time. Yeah. And then we'll have a section for, like Q&A, but we would rather do infrequently asked questions. So, not your typical Q&A that we would, oh, where are you from? What would you be doing? If you weren't doing this kind of stuff. And then we basically have virtual validation where we tell you guys all about where to find us and all that stuff. So that's basically the rundown. And yeah, and we're starting off. So we have a lot of upcoming graphics and sound bites and things still in the works. But for now, we're going with this. And the first thing we want to talk about today in the news lately, and a lot, is actually just, oh boy, this is a rough one.
It's a hot topic, yeah.
It's a rough one.
I'll intro it.
Yeah.
It's about incel culture.
Yeah.
That was my intro. That's
it.
All I got.
Incels.
That's all I can say. I'm just gonna, that's how I start off with it. So yeah.
So if you guys don't know what an incel is, it's a person who is an involuntary celibate, which means they are a virgin. Oftentimes, though, you can have this kind of mindset of being an incel, but not actually being a virgin. It's kind of just a very anti-female stance, like crazily anti-female. Like they don't
they have a certain perspective on like what females are, don't they? Like, and it's like incel is very much a predominantly like, what is it, hetero, like normative male perspective. So they have this like very particular kind of viewpoint of what females are. Even the fact that they're like not even really human beings. They're just like,
yeah, they don't call them humans. They call them foid, F-O-I-D, or feminoids, because they think they're less than human. And so they call, they give them nicknames like that. And it's just like really weird. And like a lot of people can get sucked into it. And online, it's a growing movement, and it's absolutely terrifying because these people can be very dangerous. They're obviously spreading hate speech, which is terrible and dangerous. But you know, there are people who are doing very violent things because of it. There was a girl who was actually murdered a few weeks ago by someone who was essentially an incel, and it was somebody who wanted to be with her. And yeah, it's just absolutely terrifying. But the reason that people get sucked into this is because there's an article here from Cracked that really kind of broke it down that I liked. And one of the reasons is eventually self-loathing gets projected onto others. There's a weird double standard when it comes to women. There's power in sad numbers. So the more sad people griping about women online, the more they feel like camaraderie and they're banding together to be even more hateful, which is also, social media amplifying these things and these mindsets to like these insane levels that are just absolutely terrifying. And they're typically right-leaning, like super alt-right leaning, like Republican.
You pointed this out to me. I remember when like you pointed this out to me, and I almost didn't believe it at first, and then I had to like think about it very hard. I was like, this can be a political, like almost like a certain kind of like perspective mindset to it, rather than just sort of like an individual emotionally charged mindset. And it made more sense the more I looked into it, the more that I read up on it. So it does make sense to me now that they're going to push more further in terms of a political spectrum to a sort of conservative, even further far alt-right perspective. I didn't even know this. Like it impressed me. Like I was just like,
well, I mean, it makes sense. Like their viewpoints on women align heavily with the right and the alt-right or the extreme, because there's definitely people in the right that don't feel like this at all. And they're not like that. But it's just super dangerous. Like, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this is how do we like combat this? Because these people tend to band together to like attack or, harass people or do violent things. And it's just absolutely terrifying. So how do we deal with it? Like, how do you level with them? How do you get them to see women as people?
It's such a closed off mindset as well, too, because like you have so many things, especially technology being that sort of thing that burgeons the idea of we're faceless, anonymous people that can hide behind the guise of a username and say whatever it is that we feel. And the more that we feel this way and the more that people corroborate this feeling with us, that's when we start slowly forming small cesspools of groups
and
that just have these feelings.
Yeah, and these things can be hidden inside. Like there was a Reddit post about this woman who found out that her boyfriend used to be an incel. And that was crazy. She was like, I don't know how to feel about this, but I found out that he used to be a very, very adamant incel. And it's like, it was scary to her, even though he wasn't like that anymore. It terrified her that he still might have some things
like perspectives or thoughts like that. Like she said in the thing where it was like, they're dating, you know, he suddenly said something that was very...
no, that was a different Reddit post. Okay. I was just about to bring that up. There's another Reddit post about a girl who found that her person was extremely sexist and had and they were together, and it's not like he was, you know, an actual incel by definition, like he wasn't a virgin. But he said that one thing that it was just like, he was like, women shouldn't vote. Yeah. He was like, I don't think women should vote. They're ruining the country. They're too emotional, blah, blah, blah. I think that you should. I respect that you should. And I think that you're different than other women. But I don't think women in general should. And she was just like, what the F? Like, you know, like what? And they've been together for like 5 years or something like that. And it's just absolutely crazy that these little pieces of information come out so late. Like, I don't know. My question, I guess, to like listeners and stuff, and like and everybody is just like, what are you doing? Like, what can we do to like kind of pay more attention to this and like stop it? Because it's kind of getting really dangerous and scary.
It's even to the point now where we can't ignore it, and it's something where I think because it's been ignored so much, it's been allowed to grow.
Yeah.
So there has to be at some point a solution must be made, because when they're having to take this term incel and define it in public media, and public media not being like social media, but being more the news, the damn news, they're having to like dispute the terminology and try to explain it to laymen's that don't understand the internet. So it's as pervasive as it's now become, there has to be a solution that ends up becoming built out of all of this, like becomes, you know, a remedy for this, because this is not a very positive mindset. It's not a very encouraging mindset. It's an isolatory mindset. It's something that causes people to just stay within themselves, think their opinion is right, rather than having some sort of civil discourse with somebody else. Yeah. And it's okay to have disagreements. It's okay to have different perspectives.
It's okay not to like people, but
what's not okay is taking that perspective and making it violent, making it harassing, making it bullying. It's
blanketing an entire gender based on it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it takes a severe amount of education to be impressed upon this sort of perspective, so that way it flattens it out. There has to be some sort of civil discourse.
Yeah.
And it's hard to.
I think all we really can do is try to talk about it and spread, educate, spread more information, and just, I don't know. I think this is something that we're gonna have to come back to time and time again until one day it just stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
but on a lighter note, there's other news that's much more wholesome and much more fun to to talk about, like
the news Royale.
The news Royale. So in this segment, we're gonna have 3 different varying topics of news that are more lighthearted and fun, and they're gonna battle against each other. And I will pick my favorite story. And
I will pick my favorite story.
Yeah, and our listeners, you guys can get involved and choose yours. Maybe you can be the tiebreaker, or maybe it'll be a 3-way tie. Who knows? But
and we're still deciding what we want to do with, like, say, the winner, like whether or not we write a piece on it or something like that, put it up on our website, or put it up on Patreon, or
do like a meme contest. Do like a meme contest.
That could be really fun.
That would be really fun.
Where we, like, make a meme out of whatever story it is.
Yeah.
And see how far it can go. Like, just keep talking about it, kind of thing. So.
Yeah. So in the news today, and been in the news for a couple weeks now, is the Area 51 raid. It's still going on, and it's still going on strong, and I love it so much.
Are you going?
I'm going on Facebook.
You're going on Facebook. But
Yeah,
are you going?
I'm not actually going.
You're closer to it than I am.
Yeah, I'm not going to go.
September 20th.
So let's explain what this is for anybody who's living under an internet rock and has never heard of this. There is a Facebook event that someone created as a joke to storm Area 51 and get all the aliens out. And as many people know, Area 51 is like heavily guarded by the U.S. Air Force, and they have the right to use deadly force if you trespass.
Yeah, it's funny too because first they didn't take it seriously. Then it got past like maybe about 250,000 people joining on the Facebook. Now they're up to like past 4 million or something like that. Yeah. And the Air Force had to respond because it was so pressed upon them to like say something. So they're like, you do understand that we are an Air Force base. You do understand that we've already told you what is here. There's no aliens. Please don't show up. If you do, we have full capabilities, even though you're U.S. citizens, whatever the case may be. If we see a threat posed to us, we're gonna shoot you down. We're gonna react in kind. Like we're gonna even if you Naruto run. All right? Yeah. Even if you come in mass, like they can't stop us all. Yes, it's the Air Force. Yes, they can. Yeah. It's the Air Force.
It's gonna happen. But
don't go. Anyone going, don't go.
I saw a Reddit post just like yesterday saying like people who are actually going to Area 51, what is your reasoning? And like the top comments were all suicide, which is like sad, but it's like, you know, an internet meme, like to me, for me, IRL. Yeah. Where it's like they're just absolutely like, you know, dead inside, real or joking.
No. Don't go though. Like
no, don't do it.
If anyone does show up at Area 51, can we just stay outside of Area 51? Not go in.
Have a party.
Just have a backyard barbecue style thing, maybe like a new Burning Man kind of deal thing. Like just turn Roswell in like one of those beautiful parties we've ever seen. Throw down in September.
I think one of the best things to come out of it though was all of these animal shelters, which this image on the video podcast is. A lot of animal shelters were like, hey, we've got aliens, come and raid our shelter and take them home with you. And a ton of different shelters put up pictures of like dogs and cats with like little costumes and just like little decorations to make them look like aliens. And it's just absolutely, yeah.
Look at the little hat. Look at the little hat.
Tinfoil hats and everything. I thought that was the cutest thing. And so I think if anything, you know, to encourage the people who are thinking of actually going to just go to the dog animal shelters. I said dogs, fuck cats. No, I'm just kidding. Wow. I like cats, just not as much as dogs.
September 20th should be the day that we all visit our ASPCAs or whatever version that you have of like a shelter and stuff. Go over there, check out the animals that you have there. Everyone needs a good home. Please take a pet home and take care of them, love them, and do whatever you can for them because hell, you know what? I'm not going to Nevada then. I'm just going to go ahead and get a dog. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to get a dog. I'm saying it right here, right now. Promise. September
get a dog.
20th, I'm getting a dog.
All right. Speaking of dogs, our next bit of news here.
No. Dogs.
Speaking of dogs, it's not. It's about cats. Hey. Another bunch of memes all around the internet have come from the new Cats trailer that came out a bit ago. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. You know, what do you think, Andrew Lloyd Webber? But you don't like this. I can tell you are already.
Yeah. Okay. So very much so was this me. I love musicals. I grew up on musicals. My first musical was Miss Saigon. I am Asian, don't judge me. I was 10 years old. I was in Orlando. I went to the Bob Car. I watched this. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I ever seen. I always wanted to like watch musicals. Well, I was in drama club when I was in high school. My favorite musical is Les Mis. Andrew Lloyd Webber's a genius. I love Phantom of the Opera. Cats sucks balls. I hate Cats. It is like the worst 1980s, like Footloose, hokey. The music's like everywhere. Like you could hear a cat song and not realize it's from Cats. It's really catchy. Fine. Music's great and stuff like that. The play is god awful. Like I can't. And they're Taylor Swift's in it. Who else is in it? I don't know who else is in it.
There's a lot of people in it. Idris Elba, right?
James Corden, Idris Elba is in it. Yeah.
I just love all the memes that have come out of it, especially this one that I'm showing right now. It's the Sonic. The Sonic face from the new Sonic movie that everyone hated. They were like, "What is this?" Yeah, they're like, "What is this face? What is this?"
He has 2 eyeballs. What is that? He has a uni eyeball. That's not a what?
Yeah, but it's his face on Taylor Swift's cat from the Cats trailer. And I'm absolutely dying at all the memes from this one. And personally, I do like musicals. I'm not like as crazy about them as you are, but I find it hard. Like I'm not a very tough critic. I'm a very nice critic. If I find it enjoyable, then I'll be like, yeah, it was good. It was decent. So we'll see. I've never seen it, live on Broadway or anything.
I mean, I'm going to be real, mean about it. There's a reason for that. They pulled that so hard in the 90s, but now it's like, being nice, there has been super off Broadway in your local area productions of it. It's just really hard to do because the set design is crazy. The makeup is nuts. Yeah. And it's just when they did it on Broadway, I think it had a 12-year run or something like that. And then it was just gone.
I know the story's incredible and the music, and I've heard the music and I've heard of the story, but I've never actually seen it. So I'm excited for it, but I'm definitely more excited for the memes. But something else that's pretty exciting. It's kind of ridiculous, though. The Church of Satan. The Church of Satan is
before you say what it is, I want to also say the Church of Satan is actually a thing. Okay.
Yeah, nice. I mean, everybody. I
didn't know.
You didn't?
Okay. Yeah, I was like, good for them. That's the other side needs representation too. I guess there's another side to the coin. Good. You don't like organized religion, but you organized. All right.
Yeah. Well, essentially it's kind of not it's not real. They're not actually. It's mainly made up of atheists and stuff, and they are. It's kind of hilarious, but they they use this to kind of group together and honestly a lot of what they do is charity for secularism to help keep separation of church and state, if you guys don't know, because I feel like a lot of people do know that a lot of big mega churches and stuff are constantly abusing their status as tax exempt and they're profiting, and it's kind of just really awful. I myself, I'm actually atheist, but I don't mind religion at all unless you're harming somebody else with it, of course. But I think it's absolutely hilarious that they've banded together to do this. But the cool thing about this is that the Church of Satan is now tax exempt. They've gotten the status of tax exempt for religious reasons, but they're not actually technically religious. So the thing that's really cool about this, I thought, was that they got the tax exempt status, but they have decided and publicly stated that they are not going to use it because they believe that churches should pay taxes.
The whole the irony of they have a religion, they've organized and they've come together, they've banded together, and then the irony of they got tax exemption just to say we're not going to use it.
Yeah, it's kind of a big fu.
And then another irony is that they are the Church of Satan and they do charity work.
True. Yeah, it's nuts. I like it. I think that's a fun feel good story.
Yeah.
About Satan.
About Satan. Bringing down, social presumptions about what it is that, people would believe in and stuff, rather than putting people in a little box. They're just saying, no, we're not going to be that.
So, Ian, what was your favorite out of these 3 News Royale stories?
I'm getting a dog, so the Area 51 one. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that one.
That one is good. That one is good.
I like dogs.
I like that one a lot. But just to be the devil's advocate, I am going to choose the Church of Satan story.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to say something else.
What about the cats?
Yeah, saying, I got you. Yeah, it's because I know you hate it.
No. I'm a dog person, so, I'm allergic to cats. That's the only real reason. Plus, cats are scratchy. Scratchy boys. Yeah. Anyways, anybody listening or watching, I hope that you guys find these stories fun. If you want to send us some interesting little tidbits and stories, you can do that. We have, Discord. We've got the Patreon. You can support us there. You can interact with us on social media. It's basically the number 0 and then notifications on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. But yeah, so speaking of social media and stuff, we're gonna shout out in the next section here some of our favorite artists or creators and upcoming projects and stuff. And to start off, it's actually pretty cool. I've never I've never had to. You know what? Why don't you start telling them about yours? Your picks, Ian.
My picks. Okay, so this particular section of the podcast is called Follower Mode. Essentially, what we're going to do is just talk about things that we're interested in. And I am sickeningly addicted to TikTok. If you don't know what TikTok is, it's basically Musical.ly and Vine had a baby. Mm-hmm. And I've recently found that I probably shouldn't be on this platform, specifically because I'm 34 years of age, and most of the people that are on this are between 16 and 20. So like I wish I could go a little higher than 20, but it's not higher than fucking 20. So I'm the oddball out. So me trying to come up with clever content that's, memey or like trending or funny or isn't a lip sync thing, I don't know what I'm bloody well doing. So I don't know what to do.
So tell us who your favorites that you're watching right now.
Right now, I'm watching this one particular guy who migrated from Instagram to TikTok. There's a guy pictured here right now. His name is Mr. Yabatan, and we don't know his real name. He doesn't release that. He doesn't talk about who he is and stuff like that. But he posts videos of him basically walking around Japan. Like, he lives in Japan. He speaks fluent Japanese. He'll do accents every once in a while. So he'll do it like a lisp. He'll do it like I'm a very specific tourist who can speak Japanese properly, but not with a proper accent. He'll do a proper accent. But from what I understand, he's from Finland. He's very, very tall. He's a ginger, blue eyes, very, very white, and very awkward. And so he'll always just walk in there, and he'll always start off everything. Minasai, he's like, hi everyone, and he'll just walk into something and get himself into a 1 minute's worth of trouble. And it's not necessarily bad trouble. It's like
wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the most recent video he posted was he went to a cat cafe. And he would just walk around. He's like, oh, I would like some coffee. And so he walked into the coffee shop. It was like, please, can I have a coffee? And he just looked over, and there's a cat staring at him. He's like, Neko-chan? And he's just petting with the cat and stuff like that. And I'm like, I love this man. He is so cute. He's just playing with cats. And he's all gushing over all the cute kittens all over the place, trying to drink coffee, but the cat's batting at him.
It's just good content to scroll through every day. The other one that you mentioned though, it's totally different type of content.
Completely one other, the other side. So Rex Testarossa is I love this picture. Rex Testarossa is he's a really awkward, heavy-set black guy, and he's funny as all get the hell out. It's everything he puts onto his TikTok is just really ridiculous. There was this one where he's sitting in a car, and it just made me feel like I understood him. He just looked into the camera, and he was just getting real tired of everyone treating me like a piece of garbage. Ah! And then he just played some vaporwave song. He was like, I'm like, I understand that, man. I totally get that. His name's Brian. He's a cool dude, and every time that he posts something, it is absolutely funny. Both of them are just well, okay, one's more wholesome than the other. The other one's wholesome but mildly offensive, but still funny, But I love
probably more vulgar, right?
Yeah, but it's still really, really, really funny. I love Rex Testarossa. I love Mr. Yabatan.
What are their @s on TikTok so people can go follow them?
On TikTok, you could follow @Rex Testarossa, horribly spelled. It's Rex, R-E-X, Testarossa, as it sounds, not as you would think to spell the car. Mr. Yabatan is Mr. MR_Yabatan, just how it sounds, Y-A-B-A-T-A-N. So really, really funny guys, really interesting content. I love TikTok. Nice. I shouldn't be on it. I hate TikTok. I should probably.
I need to get on there. I'm like barely on there. Ian will send me a ton of funny TikToks and be like telling me about it. And I'm like, cool, I'll see them in 2 weeks when I open TikTok again.
And in all honesty, she sees it in 2 weeks. And then like, I'll just get like a text.
It'll be so out of context.
You're a dickhead for sending me 30 fucking videos. And I'll go, I'm sorry. Okay. It was like 2 a day. And then you're not looking at it.
Well, he'll send me a joke or a meme, but then it'll be so out of context by then it'll make no sense. I'm like, what is this? Why is this girl talking about French stuff? And it's like, no, something. He's like, oh, you were talking to some French guy on Tinder, and it made sense at the time. Like,
yeah, I had to remind her, and she was just like, oh, it's not that funny anymore. And I'm like, it was when I sent it.
Anyway, so I have a couple of creative people and artists that I'd like to shout out. Anybody who knows my channel for many years, I've always been a big fan of Starcadian.
I love him.
Amazing. I don't necessarily want to say synthwave, but that's probably the closest thing that you could say. Synthwave music. He's just absolutely amazing. He's a secret producer. He always hides his face. He has like this cool mask and he always wears like a hoodie and stuff. His music is just absolutely crazy, and his whole albums are basically ear movies. So a lot of the songs are like dancey songs. Some of them are slower and chill, and then some of them are just like cinematic score, but like very retro, kind of like 80s synth sounding, and it's just beautiful. And it's just very, it's really good music. I cannot stress enough. Also, earlier this year, he had his music video, also short film, for his song called Freak Night come out, and it's so good. And actually all of his music videos are short films essentially, and they all exist in the same universe and they tie together, which is really dope. And there's like a lot of lore behind it. Starcadian is like a being, a star being. There's like a lot to follow there. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, just start watching Starcadian's like short films. But Freak Night was just chosen as an official selection for the Holly Shorts Film Festival coming up. Oh. And it's honestly one of the coolest, absolute coolest music videos I've seen. It's like Monster Prom kind of. It's very Jim Henson, and like, and it's really fun and cool. And I don't know how many times I can say fun and cool, but like, you know, it's dark and spooky, but like dancey and fun, and
it's got that kind of
neon
like,
vibes, smoky. It's got a thriller feel to it, like a Monster Prom thriller feel to it. And it's absolutely dope. I highly recommend just popping on YouTube and typing in Freak Night Starcadian, and you're gonna love it. It's a really, really dope, and the song is amazing too. So,
it's so fun.
And then speaking of music videos, this one is cool because yours truly was an extra in it.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. So a friend of mine, Mike Diva, he directed the upcoming music video for Lil Nas X, who just broke the record for #1 top song on Billboard's Top 100. What was it, 17 or 18 weeks now? I can't remember.
We're up to 19 now.
Is it? I don't, at the time of recording this, we were not sure. Don't judge us. But he definitely broke the record, and now his Old Town Road is the top song for the longest amount of time on Billboard Top 100 of all time. So it's pretty cool. And his next,
it's catchy.
Yeah, his next song coming out, the music video is called Panini. And Mike was looking for extras, and everything he does is pretty amazing. He does a lot of, commercials, a lot of like kind of robotic, his company's called Lord Danger, and they do like a lot of really cool robot, cyborg, cyberpunk stuff. And this music video is very cyberpunk. We shot it, or they shot it, I should say, in Santee Alley, which was the part that I was in. And they just threw up neons everywhere, and like we all were dressed cyberpunk, and there was just smoke and dancing in the music, and it was just really super cool looking. And I was like, oh, we can't take photos on set, because this is something I would have like as a background on my computer or my phone. It was just gorgeous cyberpunk city. But I can't wait for that to come out any day now, probably. I know they're working on it. It's going to be a really cool video. There's going to be some dope like CGI in there and stuff. So check that out. It's obviously Lil Nas X and Mike Diva, and you guys can follow them. Starcadian on Twitter is also Starcadian. Or you can just Google Starcadian. Anyway, but yeah, check all these people out. They're awesome. all the upcoming projects are going to be really fun, dope stuff. And
you're gonna introduce me to Lil Nas X at TwitchCon, right?
I don't know him. I've barely met him.
Right. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Try anyway.
Oh, that was our follower mode notification there. I forgot about. Here we go. And now, now for the next part of our show. It's called Dating Diaries.
Oh God.
Yeah, if anybody remembers that I had an old YouTube series called Dating Diaries, it was absolutely ridiculous and hilarious. And what do you think, Ian? What do you think about it?
You know, it's something where I know you have a lot of anecdotes. I don't have a lot, and I'm having to fish.
What are you trying to say
for this? You date, I don't. I'm trying to figure this out, bro. Like, I don't know. Like,
all right.
Like, you go out. I don't go out. I live in a box. Come on, seriously.
I'm a huge extrovert, and so I need like human interaction. So I go on a lot of dates. I'm very picky though.
And I'm a bartender. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But you know, it's yeah. No, I'll work on it. I am a mega
extrovert, so I need that interaction, so I go on a lot of dates, but I'm actually very super picky. Like, even if I like somebody and like something's just off, I'm like, I don't know what's up with this, but I ain't about it. But when I get messages from, dudes on dating apps, they're often so weird and cringy. But you know, a lot of times they're nice. A lot of times they just fizzle. But this is about the real weird interaction. So Dating Diaries on my YouTube was like always reading the really messed up messages and stuff. And we would love for people to send in their like screen caps or whatever of their weird interactions or story, anecdote. Story. Yeah, like give us a short, summary of your of your experiences.
Not a full like thing.
Novel,
like, if you're gonna post it on Reddit, just do one of those.
Yeah, like a TLDR almost. Yeah. But
so did you have one like from, I don't know, the Tinderverse? Like, I don't know anything about
I had a recent one. I want to say recent, probably like a month ago. I got a message from a guy who his first message to me was, so if you lived on if you were on a desert island, what would you rather have? Food or pink hair and sparkly things? And this guy had like the most basic ass profile, nothing like super sparkly or pink about him or colorful. Didn't even look like he had like incredible fashion sense, just like a normal guy, right? And so there was like, wow, that's kind of a weird shot at me to take, like, for your first message. Like, what? So I literally was just like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? Like, what is that?
Did you reply WTF? Or
I did. I was like, WTF? Like, what kind of question is that, man? Like, I would take the food. I want to live, And it's like, what did you think I was gonna say? It was just weird though, and he came back like kind of angry that I didn't like that he asked that, and I was just like, yeah, it just seemed like a really weird shot at me, and not a very like. It just, I don't know. He's like, well, the guy came back and was like, oh, well, I'm a costumer, and I would have obviously take pink and sparkly things. I'm like, you don't even look like a sparkly, colorful person, so how am I supposed to know that? You didn't say anything about costuming or anything. It just kind of seemed like a jab at me for no reason. Huh?
Did he put that he was a costumer?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't say it at all. So I was like really confused. I was like, So he was like explaining himself, and I'm in the middle of cooking dinner. 2 minutes go by. He doesn't get a response. So he starts messaging me more and more and more. And then it's like just degrading. And he's like, man, other guys would, this is the nice guy in him, quote unquote. He's like, man, other guys would have been lewd to you and gross and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm here just trying to be nice to you and blah, blah, blah. And it's been all of like 5 or 6 minutes since the first message. And I'm just like, whoa. Hot stuff on the stove. I finished the stove, cooking, and I message him back, and I'm like, whoa, dude, you're a little bit much, okay? You're really dabbling into our nice guys territory here. And, just because other guys are dicks doesn't mean you're entitled to, one, get an instant response from me. I'm in the middle of cooking right now. Chill out, be a little more patient. Also, maybe think out what you're going to say to somebody and how it's going to come off. You know, I don't know. It was real weird. And that was, you know, I don't really typically, I'm very good about being picky who I even match with. So I don't get as many messed up messages anymore. But that guy was a fedora tipping nice guy in disguise for sure. I was like, look, I'm sure you're a real nice guy. But I don't think this is going to work. And I like immediately unmatched him.
But now it's like when you're on like dating apps like that, it's there's a social media part to it, right? It's like you could like link your Instagram, you could link your Facebook or something like that. How does it work again? I don't know. Like it's like you could link your social media.
Your Instagram.
So you could like basically go see who this person is exactly, like what their representation is. Like, yeah. You don't get to like snoop or anything, but you get to see some of their pictures and stuff. Ian, you don't have a dating app profile or anything? I do not. I don't have any. Like, there was this one.
You should do it just for shits and giggles. It's fun.
Yeah, it's like, what was it? I was in a relationship. What was it? 8 years ago or something like that. And she confessed to me that a year into the relationship, she got a dating profile on like
wow,
not Match.com. What was the other one? The one where it was like scientifically proven. What is
farmers? Just kidding. Farmers love.
Wow.
No,
it's like,
farmers only. That's what it was.
Some I don't know, one of those things, and it's like you have to fill out the whole profile thing. She put her picture on there, and
okay, Cupid,
something like that.
Yeah,
and like someone that we worked together, and she like her like coworker came up to me, like the one that worked in her department, because I worked in a different one, and she was like, "Hey, did you know that Natalie has a?" Her name was Natalie as well.
Oh, I was like, "What?" Yeah.
No, not you. I don't care. It's like, don't worry about it. But it's like did you know that she like had a profile on social media on this, like on Match.com or whatever it was? I was like, what? Are you kidding? For what? And like, it was just for a joke,
attention.
You know, and I'm like, was it for a joke? I'm not really sure. And part of me wanted to get one, and I was like, nah, you know what? I'm not gonna look. It's fine. I trust her and stuff like that.
Wow.
And like, it was a, you know,
naive Ian.
Well, we were in the relationship for 2 years after that, and then
the first three letters of naive are Ian backwards.
You're so reaching.
Hey, did you guys know that my name, Nati, and Ian's name, if he had a T, what is it? If you had a T in your name, they would be anagrams of their name.
Then
this is off topic. I don't care. It's fun. Eton. Yeah. Eton. That's Ian's like alter ego. Eton.
Yeah. Are you gonna be yelling that at me from now? Do I have to like Eton Mori?
If I get Eton Mori?
Yeah, Eton M. Mori. I just sound like a sushi roll.
If I'm mad at you, I'm gonna say your full name. Eton M. Mori.
That's God. Oh my God.
Also, if you guys see the little logo of the podcast, it's a little envelope with a, instead of it might remind you a little bit of about Gmail logo, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's got the N instead of the M though for notifications, and then it's got the 0 on the top. But also, if you turn it sideways, it's a Z and an O for zombie and oath. Wow, we really thought this out. Oh my God, look at us. All right. Anyway, clever. Ugh. Yeah.
Anyway.
One of the things about dating apps though, not just being naive, it's like protecting yourself from being naive is like when you start dating somebody. Oh wait, here we go. I'm so dumb. I forgot to do this. Here we go. Boom. For anybody who's listening, I put up a graphic for it. It's real cute.
Really hard on it.
Yeah, all 5 minutes.
Really this one.
Yeah, but if you guys send us in some clips and anecdotes, maybe we'll censor them and throw them up here on the video podcast. But yeah, one of my favorite things with dating people, actually dating, and not just like talking to somebody online and dating apps and getting weird messages from them, is that period when you actually find somebody in the haystack that's like, oh, I could actually date this person, because I'm like extremely picky. you find that you can date them, and then you're dating them for a little bit, and then everything seems so nice and great, and you're just like, wow, I don't see any red flags. I'm wondering what the fuck is wrong with them? Like, what is up with them? There's got to be something. There's a reason.
There's got to be something wrong with them. Like, you can't be this perfect.
It can't be perfect.
No. Give me your social media.
Sometimes it's that they have low self-esteem or something, and then they something I experienced recently is that they like fell for me really, really hard, and then they couldn't handle that, and so they dumped me, and then we got back together, and then they did it again, which was like absolutely crazy. Man, modern dating. I
have a really hard time understanding that. I still do. It's just like, just go for it, man. Like, just,
I don't know. It's weird though, right? Okay, but then, you know, you date somebody else and it's like, okay, what's wrong with this person? And that's like a fun little game of trying to figure out what's wrong with them. Not per se what's wrong with them in general, but like what's wrong with them that doesn't work with you, or that's not going to work with you. You know, and that's kind of like, I don't want to call it, I'm trying to like segue into like what you wanted to talk about with like mild stalking and stuff like that. But
give me your social media.
Social media is like the way that you kind of try to figure that out. You like start to see the patterns that they do and the way they behave and stuff like. And I will say one thing. I notice that if I'm talking to somebody, they're always engaging with me on social media, and then all of a sudden, if they're not and they're engaging with somebody else, then they're probably talking to that other person and not me anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a mild.
As well too.
I wouldn't call that stalking. I think for me, that's more just noticing patterns. But there are some things that people do initial mild stalking. That
I've always said, like, and I said this to Nat like a couple days ago, or yes, I said it yesterday. I say it like almost every day to you. One is a happenstance. Two, that's not a coincidence. I don't care what people say. Three's a pattern. No, two's a pattern. When it happens twice, you start making it a pattern. And so it's something where if you start seeing things, say, for example, in the representation of what people are in social media, that's where the whole mild stalking thing comes into play, especially when you're vetting somebody that you're going to date. Now, this is like back in the day when social media wasn't a thing. You got to know the person, you fell in love with them, they were representing themselves as they wanted to represent themselves. Then they popped the question, you got married, everything like was honky-dory and stuff like that. Then 10 years later, you realize this person doesn't work out for me. You get a nasty divorce, who gets the kids, that sort of thing. Now we're so wary of that sort of thing. What's wrong with a little mild stalking? I really don't think there's anything wrong with it. You go onto Snapchat, you see where they are. You go on their Instagram, you see what's going on with that.
I've never seen where they are, but
no, yeah.
I will say that if I like I'm dating somebody and they like post on Instagram story or something like they're out somewhere, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, what's going on there? Like, and then I'll like search that place on Instagram and see if there's more snaps, just to like kind of be like, oh yeah, maybe somebody else posted, maybe they're there with somebody else. Maybe I'm a little jaded, but
were there
yeah,
with somebody else.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna talk to this person anymore. So
maybe I'm a little jaded, but in LA, that's very common where like people will be dating like 100. No, that it's like I'm saying, like it's absolutely a jaded thing, and it's not. For me personally, but in LA, it's just so common, and it's happened to me so many times where somebody's like, I want to date you, and then end up even wanting to be exclusive, but they are still talking to like 20 other people when they can't. I don't even have the energy to focus on more than one person, even if we're not exclusive. Personally, it's just like hard for me. I'm just like, I don't have.
Yeah. The joke of like a threesome, it's like, baby, you want to have a threesome? It's like, I have a hard time pleasuring you. How am I going to do that with somebody else? Are you kidding me? Hell no, that's a lot of work.
I'm not talking about sex. I'm just talking about relationships. But you know,
like as a comparison, you know.
Yeah, no,
like,
I know.
It's too much work. It's too much work.
I just think it's I'm too busy with my, you know, my life, my work, and my career and everything, and gaming takes up a lot of my time and stuff. So for me, it's like, if I'm going to date anybody, because I'm at the point in my life where I'm like happy being alone and single, and I'd rather not be with anybody than be with somebody that's not worth my time. So for me, I'm extremely picky about it. And then if I decide that we want to like start dating, and it kind of feels like it's going that way, then I expect them to give the same energy that I give them. And if they don't, then it's just kind of like, I'm done here. I'll give you a chance. If it doesn't change, it's done. And I will notice the patterns, and I will kind of like do the mild stalking just to like verify what I'm feeling. Cause you know, you just want to know that, hey, are these feelings that I'm having valid, or am I just being like, you know, emotional or immature? And then you get validation either one way or the other, and then you can make a decision on it. Yeah. And that's modern dating. And I think it sucks, but I think it's also better because you're not wasting your time with people, like you say, like divorced 10 years later. Something like that. Yeah.
Choose a pattern.
Choose a pattern. I agree. I'll agree with that. Anyway, we got a lot of other interesting anecdotes and dating stories we're talking about, but please send us some of yours because we definitely want to talk about other people's stuff. Yeah, it's always the best.
It's really sad after a while. So
yeah. It's really sad and jaded. Yeah, no, it's good. So the next part of the podcast here is a little thing we like to call. Not that. That's not it. It's called Infrequently Asked Questions or something like that.
Yeah. Usually there's on websites and stuff, frequently asked questions that, you know, you would normally hear. And usually what we do for this particular section is take questions that we wouldn't usually get and try to answer them, or at least answer them the way we honestly answer them. Because we can only say so much of, hey, how did you get into streaming? Or what do you like to do in your free time? Or how come Natalie has pink hair? You know, like
And we'll, you know, in our Patreon, we'll probably do like an intro to each of us where you guys can get all that basic information. But we really want to just take this time to do ridiculous questions or interesting questions that are, you know, off the beaten path. For this episode, we have a question from the Creature Thing on my Discord, and they said, if you could stop the invention of one thing, what would it be?
When we were doing rehearsals and discussions about the topics we were going to have on the podcast, like Natalie just turned to me and was like, well, what would you? And I immediately was just all like, guns. I was like,
and this was like a week ago.
Yeah.
This was a week ago. And currently, yesterday, there were literally 2 mass shootings in America, one in El Paso, one in Dayton, Ohio. And it's not anything new. We've had like 254 shootings this year, and it's only August.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely terrifying.
I ran into a YouTube video years ago. It wasn't even that long of years ago. I think it was just maybe like a year or 2 ago. And it was like an alternate history video on YouTube about what would the world be like without gunpowder, the invention of gunpowder, because that's what, you know, eventually led to the invention of the gun, rather the cannon first and then the hand cannon and then the gun and then so on and so forth to what we have as modern warfare. But what would warfare be like if we didn't have guns? And now, if we didn't have guns, we wouldn't have this extremely ridiculous problem that we do have right now in the United States. But then also at the same time, we would have a slew of probably other problems as well, too. Now, all I ask for, at least in terms of answering this question, is just not the world that we live in now. But then when I thought about the alternate possibility of not having guns, it's almost comparably worse. It's almost comparably worse. One of the things that they said in the video was there'd be more wars, smaller wars, but more wars. Borders wouldn't be the exact same thing. There probably wouldn't be a United States. Europe would probably still be in power. And yeah, it's a lot of want to.
We'd be a lot less developed, right?
Yeah, it'd be a lot less developed as well too,
because as a species,
a lot of encouragement for technology came as a result of conquering, of owning certain areas, of gaining certain resources, all because it was won by war. Now, if we have smaller, like little tinier wars and stuff, then it would encourage more of like a lack of idea of what borders are, you know, contemporarily seen as right now. There would be more disputes in the grander scheme of things. And like there would be less devastation, yes. Like there would be more history involved as well, too, because so many wars have been fought where we lost a great chunk of history. All those things that have been happening in Iraq, because we're shooting like missiles all off in that direction, we're losing like big chunks of history, such as the ziggurats that are out there and like those archaeological sites and all of those ancient civilizations. And we wouldn't have that. We would actually still have those things intact if it wasn't for the devastating nature that gunpowder brings into the picture. Mm-hmm. So, and there would also be this build of ideas of how honor is seen in like Japanese swordsmanship, or like chivalry has been in terms of not like gentleman chivalry, but like not the contemporary chivalry, but like the way it's kind of like that Bushido idea of like the way that samurai carry themselves. There's an honor in it.
Yeah.
And so people would actually be taught swords play. People would have to like keep working on their bodies, be more physically fit, so that way they can defend themselves, and not necessarily with a gun, which is easy to pull the trigger on. It would be something like you have to be physically fit in order to swing a sword, have a quarterstaff, have something like that. It's very
maybe we'd have a lot less incels as a result, because everybody would be in better shape, and that's immediately.
Yeah, it'd be something where it's like you have these guys that have this ridiculous mindset about them. They probably in this world would, you know, work very hard at being the impressive person with their cool sword. There wouldn't be a thing called LARPing. There would be guys with actual swords on their hips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun
Nothing
fact,
wrong with LARPing, by the way.
Fun fact, you always keep a lady on your left, gentlemen out there.
Unless you're walking along the street, because then...
Unless you're walking along the street. Then you have
I hate that.
Has to be at the road.
I honestly hate that. I'll like accept it. I was going on dates with somebody recently, and they kept doing that, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever.
You know why the lady's always on the left?
Why?
Because or not on the left, on the right rather. Sorry, the lady's always on your right because I'm not left-handed. I'm sorry, I'm left-handed. That's why the lady's always.
It's on your dominant hand side.
On your dominant hand side, because you're pulling the sword from your left hip. That's why you had it. So that's why the lady would be on that side of you.
Yeah.
So, but because I'm left-handed, it would be the other side for me. Sorry, that was confusing.
Yeah, so it was a little bit.
I live in a dominantly right-hand world.
Whenever I'm at like a convention or something, and I'm sharing a room with a friend, we always, there's always double beds, whatever, because we like to starfish out. I will always take I will always take the bed closer to the door so I can protect my friend, whether it's a guy or a girl. I'm just like very protective, so it's kind of that same mentality.
Do you have a sword?
I do not. I have a rubber like foam sword for cosplay.
Counts. Okay, cool. All right, awesome.
Yeah. I don't have a gun. I used to own a gun when I lived in Dallas. I lived in like the worst part of Dallas for a little bit. My boyfriend at the time was like, I really want you to get a gun. And I had been shooting before to the range. So it's Texas, right? And so I'd been shooting and stuff. And I understand the desire to shoot guns and to own guns. I get it. Like it feels cool to have one and like go out in the field and just, shoot at trees or something, or shoot at targets, But I would much rather give that up and never have it.
It's too much
than
power
have
in one hand,
Yeah. And I really don't think we need any kind of semi-automatic weapons available to the public. It's just, you want to protect yourself? Okay, have a pistol. Yeah. All right. That still can hurt. Sword. Have a sword. Yeah, but get a taser, get some mace. Like, there are other things. I never carried my gun loaded, which is kind of counterintuitive. It was more just like a flashy thing so that nobody would try to jump me on the way to my apartment. Well, I was also scared of having it loaded because, guns often, if you own a gun, you're more likely to get shot by your own gun, which is... As a
writer, you always say, don't put the gun in the story unless you plan for it to go off.
Well, that's, there's a gun in the first act if you're not going to use it in the third or whatever.
There's no point of having the gun in the story in the first place. So it's if we lived in a world that didn't have guns, it would be very, very interesting to see how things like the blade or the bow and arrow or whatever, any other projectile developed as a result of that. There would be more encouragement for like things like archery, swords, and whatever to deal with those disputes you can't work with your words. So if I could stop an invention, it'd be the gun.
Yeah. So that was a great question. Thank you, Creature Thing, for that. If you guys want to send us questions, go ahead and hit us up on social media. Our podcast is 0 notifications, the number 0 and the word notifications. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this first episode. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys can join us for future episodes, either live on Twitch on my channel, twitch.tv/ZombiUnicorn, or you can check out the podcast early on Patreon. Well, I believe it's patreon.com/ZombiUnicorn, Noe and Zombie. Wow, there's a loud car outside. You can follow us on everything at here we go. We have every social media, pretty much Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the number 0 and the word notifications. Where can everybody find you, Ian?
I am on Instagram and Twitter as IanMMori. So just look me up. It's Ian, the letter M, and then another letter M with ORI at the end of it. And then on Twitch, I'm OthMMori. I promise I'll change it. But yeah, that's what it is right now. And if you want to find me on TikTok, you could find me on TikTok. It's IanMMori at TikTok. So by all means, check me out, hit me with a follow, send me some stuff. If you follow me on TikTok and if like I can tell you're from, you know, the podcast or you've listened to the podcast, then I'll go ahead and follow you back and you could send me funny TikToks if you want to. So, which I'd be fine with. Yeah, and mine is, it's actually the ZombiUnicorn with no E in zombie because I'm an idiot. Pretty much on everything, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, oh God, on TikTok, it's the.ZombiUnicorn for now until I get it fixed. My website's thezombiunicorn.com. And yeah, so thanks for joining us and thanks for listening. Don't forget to, I'm going to play the song again. Don't forget to be nice to animals, you guys. Including humans. And drink your water, please. Yeah. All right. Bye. Bye.